Hi, I'm Sophia. Welcome to this channel, and I would like to talk about the theme of the gift of life. So, the reason I'm talking about this today is because it would have been my mum's birthday today. I'm wearing red in honor of her, and you probably noticed in the background. Yes, it's pink there, but let's say it's a red theme. Red was her favorite color, and she also liked to wear it, and I think it's such a nice positive color too as well. So here we go. So I want to talk about the theme of the gift of life in this episode. So for the past couple of days it's been a little bit difficult because of course it's the anniversary of what would have been my mum's birthday today. And then also, I am in the midst of my next chapter. And being in your next chapter is not a bad thing. It's like with everything, you have your ups, your down, your in between times. And I was feeling a little bit sorry for myself yesterday. And I kind of like snapped out of it today because my friend Synchronicity came into play, and it was showing me different signs. And then I've also been thinking about the late great Dolly Parton. I never met her, but from what I can see in terms of her interviews she did over the years, her music and her rags to riches story, and her determination, her positivity, the lady who would be saying, if you truly believe in what you're doing and you enjoy it, then she'd be the person like a really big cheerleader. And we need people like that. We need those sort of like signals. And then also today I was on my Facebook, and there was a lady who I met at this networking event years ago, and at the time she was a survivor of cancer, breast cancer. And then today she shared with us how she is in a hospice, and she was like doing a big thank you message. And it made me realize that I'm lucky. I go up right now, touch wood. I'm healthy. I have people who love me. I have, the basics covered in terms of shelter, food, clothing. Although people might argue I have lots, abundance when it comes to clothing and outfits. But jokes aside, it was a bit like a wake up call or reminder that I still have a chance. I have a chance to, look and figure out ways in terms of getting from one point to another. I still have opportunities to test things. Sometimes it might work out, other times it might not at all. So I wanted to do this video as a reminder to everyone, who watches this. Maybe it comes at that right time where you're thinking, oh, I feel frustrated. Life is not how how I thought it would be. It's tough. I'm not denying that it could be not tough at times, challenging, but I want to encourage you to think, okay, if you're not happy with how things are right now, what can you do to change it? Have you been repeating a method, a process all the time, a route, and it's not working? I want to remind you, what did Einstein say, that famous quote? Definition of insanity is doing things over and over again and then expecting, a different result. So maybe you need to look at things differently. Maybe you might have to do some sort of compromise. So say, for example, if it's work, or let's say, for example, you're starting a new business and it's a bit hard to get the sales because it does take time. It takes time to build up trust, and I could understand it because people want to know, okay, this person is living and breathing. They know what they're talking about. It's a bit like my decision recently to put a pause on bringing out a guide because I realized it's been a while since I'd done something, and I wanted to test it out myself first. And then I could say, with me being a guinea pig, the case study, that it works. And that's like integrity. Of course, it's my choice. You might get people who say, oh, just do things anyway, fake it until you believe it. Yes, faking it can work in certain context. So I'm going to use a context which I think it could work. So for example, with confidence, you only know that you're good at something when you start, doing it. So for example, like learning to drive. Um, you learnt to drive, you went to driving school, or you took driving lessons, and then after a while you get more and more confidence on the road, for example. So some things, it's obvious you're going to have to practice. You can't just, pretend and like blag it along the way. So I want to remind you in this video that look at other pathways. And while I talk about compromise, I'm talking about a situation. So let's take the example of work. So rather than me saying the vague word of situation, because that sounds abstract, I could be talking about something else. So going back to the business, you're starting up a business. That's the scenario I was just talking about not very long ago. And business is slow. So what can you do? You can, for example, maybe consider maybe working for someone else, maybe doing part-time work, maybe doing something else as a bridge type of job, which you do on an interim, the short term, to bring the money in. And then it sort of like with ease the stress of what you're doing. The other day I read this guy who comes from a corporate background, had a really good job, and he got made redundant over a year ago, and his savings were depleting. And then he ended up having to work in a factory, doing warehousing work just to cover the bills. And that was like a compromise which he needed to do to help get to the point he wanted to do. So that's the message which I want to put across to you today, is that reminder that treat each day as a gift, an opportunity, a chance to rethink, maybe do something differently, or maybe put a pause on something. Maybe things are happening for a reason. Maybe there's something better which is coming along which you can't see just yet. So here's to celebrating life. Here's to reminding you that yes, it's okay to have down days. I have down days myself. I had, like I was sharing, I felt a little bit sorry for myself. And then I realized that, you know what? These things happen sometimes. Processes could be a bit slow. So I'm looking forward to, making my next big move, which I know is going to happen. It's confident. I've done it before. So I believe it could happen. So here's to treating each day as a gift, and also wearing bright colours. So if you're feeling down, put on something bright, even if it's accessory, a yellow hairband, or a bright top. So until the next video, and remember, if you like what you see or what you hear in terms of how you watch this YouTube video, then don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video.